Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful prophecies in the book of Isaiah. It's this incredible vision that swings wildly between total ruin and glorious redemption, sometimes in the space of just a few words. And it's this puzzle, this seeming contradiction that has had people scratching their heads for centuries.
So the prophecy opens with this incredibly stark image. We're looking at a kingdom, Ephraim, that's the northern kingdom of Israel, and they're at the absolute peak of their arrogance. He describes their leaders as drunkards, wearing their pride like a crown. But right away, Isaiah tells us this crown, this glorious beauty, is already fading. It's like a flower that's been cut from the vine, just wilting in the sun.
And then, just 4 verses later, the whole thing completely flips. The wilted, human crown of pride gets replaced by a divine one. God himself is going to become a crown of beauty, a diadem of glory. But you got to notice the wording here, for the remnant of this people. So yeah, the destruction is very real, but so is this incredible promise of a brand new beginning.
And that is the central question, right? What gives? Is the prophet just contradicting himself? Is this a message of doom, or is it a message of hope? How can both of these things exist side by side in the same breath? Well, to solve this, we need to dig a little deeper into the text itself.
Now, to unravel this whole puzzle, we're not going in alone. We're going to turn to 2 of the absolute greatest minds in the history of biblical interpretation, commentators who came at these texts with brilliant, but, very different methods. On one side, we've got Rashi, who we could call the master of clarity. He's famous for his uncanny ability to just nail the direct meaning of a word or a phrase. And on the other side, we have Don Isaac Abarbanell, the master of questions. He always looked for the bigger picture, the grand patterns, and he'd frame his analysis by asking these incredibly sharp, probing questions about the text. So they're going to be our guides on this.
Okay, so the prophecy kicks off with this really harsh condemnation of the northern kingdom, Ephraim. But Isaiah isn't just taking a shot at their political pride. No, he's pointing to a deep spiritual sickness that has basically infected the entire society, from the very top all the way down.
I mean, this is about as graphic as you can get. The image is one of just total disgusting excess. The very places that should be for community and nourishment, their tables, are completely polluted. There's literally no clean space left. But what does this shocking image actually mean? This is where Rashi gives us a really crucial insight. For him, this isn't just about a messy dinner party. He sees these as the tables of sacrifices for the dead. In other words, idolatrous feasts. So the filth isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's a sign that they've completely rejected God at the very moment they should be giving thanks.
Now, Abarbanell agrees with Rashi, but, as he so often does, he adds another layer. He suggests the tables of filth can also be a powerful metaphor. The filth represents their corrupted ideas, their polluted teachings. It's like their entire intellectual and spiritual discourse has just gone rotten. Even their priests and prophets, the people who are supposed to provide clarity, are muddled in their visions and stumble in judgment.
And the result of all this corruption? The prophecy says their destruction is going to be swift and total. The image of an early fig is just brilliant. It's that rare treat that pops up before the main harvest. It's so desirable that anyone who sees it just snatches it and eats it immediately without a second thought. That's how Assyria is going to devour Ephraim, quickly, eagerly, and completely. So the big takeaway here is that the initial judgment isn't just about bad behavior. It's about a total spiritual decay that makes their collapse inevitable. So, Ephraim's fate is pretty much sealed. But that brings us right back to our central puzzle. Why does the prophecy immediately pivot from this picture of total destruction to a promise of a divine crown of glory? Abarbanel saw this jarring shift and just knew there had to be more to the story. This is basically Abarbanel's next big question. He's asking, how can God be a crown of beauty for a people whose tables are covered in filth? It just doesn't make any logical sense if the prophet is talking about the same group of people at the exact same time. The contradiction is just way too sharp.
And this is where Abarbanel's genius really shines. He proposed that, hey, what if Isaiah isn't speaking to just one audience? What if he's talking to 2? It's like he's performing this masterful balancing act, tailoring his message for each kingdom based on their specific situation and their future. So here's the key that unlocks the whole thing. The first part of the prophecy, the crowns of pride and tables of filth, that's a final urgent warning to Ephraim. But the second part, the crown of beauty, that's actually aimed at the southern kingdom, Judah. And for Judah, the message is this really complex forecast of their own future. And if we drill down even further, Abarbanell splits Judah's prophecy into two distinct time periods. First, the promise of a crown of beauty applies specifically to the righteous generation of King Hezekiah, the one that saw Jerusalem miraculously saved. But then the prophecy's harsher warnings are aimed at a future generation in Judah, one that would fall into the same corrupt patterns as Ephraim, and ultimately face its own destruction. So you see, a single prophecy can hold different destinies for different people at different times. It's brilliant.
Okay, so Abarbanell has solved the puzzle of the two audiences, but he spotted one more strange detail at the end of the chapter, this long, seemingly random analogy about a farmer. What on earth does farming have to do with any of this?
This was Abarbanell's final big question. He wondered if God's actions, saving one generation, punishing another, might look inconsistent, maybe even arbitrary. And then he realized the farming analogy wasn't a diversion at all. It was the key to understanding the entire prophecy. It was the unified theory of divine justice.
Isaiah lays out the farmer's work step by step. First, he plows, breaking up the hard soil. Then he carefully plants different kinds of seeds in different ways. And finally, he threshes the grain, using different tools for different crops to separate what's valuable from what's worthless. Every single action is precise and has a purpose. And here is the aha moment. Abarbanell explains that while plowing looks destructive and planting looks creative, they are both absolutely essential steps toward the exact same goal, the harvest. And so it is with God. Saving Hezekiah's generation and punishing a later one aren't contradictory actions. They are different tools, like a plow and a seed drill, used at different times for different needs, but all part of one coherent, overarching plan.
And this brings us to the ultimate goal of that farmer's plan. It's not about endless plowing or threshing, it's about the final gathering, the harvest. And Isaiah's prophecy, looking far, far beyond all the destruction, ends on this note of ultimate, purposeful redemption.
Just listen to the intimacy of this language. After all the sweeping storms of judgment and the scattering of exile, the final redemption is personal. It's not some chaotic stampede home. It's a careful, deliberate gathering, as if each person is being found and brought back individually, one by one.
And the signal for this final harvest? It's the sound of a great shofar, a ram's horn. It's a call that will echo across the entire world, reaching the lost and the exiled in every single corner. From Assyria to Egypt, calling them to return and worship on the holy mountain in Jerusalem. It's the ultimate sound of hope.
So what we're left with is this incredibly powerful framework. A story that seems totally chaotic is revealed to have a deep underlying purpose. It suggests that even in moments that feel like total collapse, there might be a larger coherent plan at work, just like a farmer tending his field. And this leaves us with one last question. How does this ancient model change the way we look for patterns and purpose in the seemingly random events of our own world?